Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Winback, and on today's episode of Grim Dawn, we're going to venture further down the Nemesis path because we did fill out the infamy bar for the Iron Maiden, which is Kymon's chosen Nemesis boss. So that was a pain in the ass, but it wasn't as difficult as I originally thought. Actually, it was easier than the Cronley's Gang infamy because I was just getting so much more per round of infamy farm, so it was pretty good. But this is a YouTube video, so feel free to like, comment, subscribe your heart out, and we'll talk about the Iron Maiden. Now, the Iron Maiden is a human boss. She is, we'll say, pretty tanky. She does, I believe, have a shield, and she uses a lot of soldier skills, so things get tough if we're not paying attention, just like they did with Fabius. But at the same time, this class in particular doesn't really struggle a whole lot with human-type bosses. So unless we just get smacked or stun-locked in sheer surprise, things aren't going to be too difficult. Now, there are 3 overworld locations that the Iron Maiden can spawn in. That is going to be Fort Heron, Fort Archon, and the Tomb of Archon Bartholom. Now we're starting with the Tomb of the Archon here because it has the most locations for her to spawn with a whopping 5. So we do want to clear out all of her minions first, though. I don't want to get surrounded and jumped on by a whole bunch of random Kymon's chosen while trying to kill an enormous boss, because they can do some random damage that will eventually hurt quite bad. The only other Nemesis boss to work on is the Order of Death's Vigil, and I can't get that one with this class because we are part of the Death's Vigil in this playthrough, and you can't switch now. At least I don't think you can. Big shield, big axe, pretty decent movement speed, but we know what we're all about. We might have to do some bobbing and weaving here. I just have to keep my hand on the blade barrier button in case I drop way too low. At the same time, she does have a number of abilities, a couple of which you could see were just chunking the life off of me. But her normal attacks are actually going to be the cadence skill from the soldier class. So every third swing is going to hurt really bad. So she does have a wave that she can fire off that apparently will stun people. It's like a force wave. Next, she has Blitz, the soldier skill. I don't have to tell anybody. Blitz hurts. She's also got Markovian's Advantage and Zulhan's Technique. Both of those are attack modifiers from the soldier tree as well. And those are dealing physical as well as physical and bleeding. Markovian's Advantage is going to reduce your defensive ability while dealing damage, and then Zulhan's Technique is going to slow your autos. So the other abilities that the Iron Maiden has are going to be, she does have that aura that deals the damage. We saw all of that going while she was fighting us, and it actually looked pretty cool. So it doesn't have a name for that aura, which is unfortunate, but it does deal piercing and bleeding damage. She also has Overguard, which is another soldier skill, and she is going to increase her block chance, get a whole bunch of piercing, retaliation, get physical and pierce resistance, as well as a bunch of physical damage and defensive ability. So when she casts Overguard, she is much harder to hit and much harder to do damage to while that is going. She also has all the standard big boss resistances, Nemesis boss resistances to CC and life reduction, all that stuff. But she has a big resistance to lightning and fire, as well as piercing. So Menhir's Will is the thing that gives her a ton of health back. So it must have activated earlier than I noticed, and we probably killed her in the cooldown for it, which is weird. But basically, that ability, when your health drops, you get a 30% health restoration, increased crit, offensive and defensive ability, health regen, all that stuff. And then she's also got Fighting Spirit, so when she takes damage, she's going to get 20% damage absorption, offensive ability, attack speed, and movement speed. So Lots of stuff baked into her kit. No summons, though, thank God. And as long as you're clearing all of her little goons, we're good there as well. These shrines are such a pain in the ass because all of these gargantuans can root you, and then even more gargantuans will spawn to root you even further. So I'm just going to pull everybody up the stairs real quick and deal with this the old-fashioned way. The chain roots from all of the skeletal gargantuans is so bad, it's killed me a few times. If I were playing on hardcore and I came across one of these shrines in this difficulty, I would just let it go. We did pick up a warrant, actually, so that's really cool. Warrants are basically the inverse of your writs and your mandates. So if you want to gain infamy faster on another class, you use a warrant to gain 100% more infamy on whichever character that you use it on. So that's pretty cool. We'll stick this in the box, and if I want to farm the Iron Maiden later on with a different character, then things are going to go pretty decent for us. Now, the loot she dropped us Iron Maiden's Mantle of Menhir's Wall. Looks like a lot of health, a lot of physique, 72 defensive ability, armor increase, physical resistance, chaos and bleeding. All that stuff is good, but none of the skills that we got from it are good for this class. So maybe another one, but still pretty useful. And you can either get the mantle or you can get the shoulder guard. So let's take a look at what the shoulder guard gives you as well. Health, physical resistance, elemental resistance, still going to increase armor, which is good. And then it's going to give you points to Cadence, Upheaval, Callistor, and Aegis of Menhir. Soldier, Oathkeeper, and Inquisitor stuff. So pretty good all around. But at the same time, not really into any of that. But I am also going to show you the alternate routes finding this character. Because while her locations are pretty small, and you'll always want to start with the tomb, the other locations are pretty separated. So you'll want to keep those on the back burner just in case, for whatever reason, she does not spawn in here. This is also the best path to gain the infamy for this class, or for this faction. So in order to get all that negative reputation, this is the route that you'll want to run. Starting with the Fort Icon Riftgate, you'll run out towards the Tomb of Bartholom to the west. And then once you're in here, there's a couple different levels to this little dungeon. You'll clear out all of these guys. Typically, when I was doing it, I was getting anywhere from 300 to 400 infamy gained per run. And that is including Fort Icon, that is including the tomb, and then finally Fort Heron. Fort Heron being the last location. Fort Heron also has a cute little gimmick that you can do where you can actually take a bounty from the Order of Death's Vigil, in which a hero enemy will show up in Fort Heron over and over again. As long as you don't turn in the bounty, you'll get to fight that character over and over, which will help your infamy gain. So that is a little bit of a cheeky workaround to the amount of slow that this can be, but definitely did help. So all in all, this, again, this was still way shorter than the Cronley's Gang infamy farming. So if you find yourself getting really bored with that route, I would highly recommend this one instead. Now we are going to make our way over to Fort Heron, and that is easily accessible through the Blood Grove Riftgate. You can typically just blink past everybody in between. There aren't a whole lot of Kymon's chosen up until you get to the fort, but they do exist in the Blood Grove, so you can get some easy infamy farmed. There are also a bunch of Manticore hiding around in this area too, like on the way up to Fort Heron. So if you need a place to farm some Manticore eyes, because they are really hard to find, this wooded area is totally good for it. Fort Heron is always the same. It's always going to be this little tract of land, and it's either going to be filled with Kymon's Chosen or Death's Vigil. So both factions are always going to be located in Heron and the Tomb of the Archon, because both have quest lines in both locations. Also, if you are thinking that you're going to go get some extra farm of infamy with the final act of the game, with, you know, Kymon's Chosen being in front of Korvac, think again, because those Kymon's Chosen are actually considered eldritch. They are not going to gain you any infamy in the farm of this this Nemesis, which is kind of shitty, if we're being honest. But I tried it, ran all the numbers. I'm pretty sure I was on Ultimate when I did it. There is like a 1% chance that I don't know what I'm talking about, so if you do actually gain infamy from them, feel free to leave that in the comments below. But as it stands right now, 99.9% sure that you cannot get infamy from that part of the game. Now, in Fort Heron, down here, there is anywhere from like 1 to 2 hero enemies, so that's always a big chunk of Nemesis or infamy down that you'll get. And then sometimes they're full of fun weapons too, fun gear. So it shouldn't be a complete waste of time farming the infamy for these characters, but at the same time, it will be completely monotonous. But anyway, we cleared out the fort, so this is just another location she can spawn in, or the Iron Maiden can spawn in. So definitely check this one off your list. Obviously, it's really small, so it's really easy to see where all that stuff is going. But anyway, that is going to be it for this video, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. That is the Iron Maiden Nemesis guide. Not a really difficult boss, at least not for my class yet again. Both of the human Nemesis bosses, rather simple to deal with. So let me know what your experience is, if it's different. Let me know if you had fun farming these bosses as opposed to the gargantuan monstrosities that we're used to, who are much more difficult to take down. 100% more difficult to take down. At least for me. But that's it, everybody. I'll see you later. Peace out.